All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, women and children of all ages, it's about that time. It's Monday Night Raw, real estate style. Hope everybody's having a great day coming off the weekend, coming back so you can learn some stuff so you can begin to get your mind right, to get your wallet right, to get your bank account right. Go ahead and put your name in and where you're coming in from. We'll get you a quick shout out before we get started with the show tonight. We got a great treat for you. And if you also could, go ahead and share this out to somebody who may want to know about some real estate, because that's what we talk about here, entrepreneurship, real estate, and other topics to help you get your life together, no matter the weather. All right. So I got a couple announcements I'm going to give right quick before we get started with the show. Don't forget, next week, we're on with Miss Andrea Stakes. That's Monday, June 22nd. We're on with her how to find, train, and retain virtual assistants, because, you know, this business definitely takes a lot of work, takes a lot of structure, takes a lot of grind and everything else. So you want to definitely get somebody on your team to help you out. Miss Andrea is going to show you how we can actually help make that happen for you. The following week, the 29th of June, we're on with Just Ask Andy. That's right, talking about how to build that family credit, the mama, the daddy, the kids, whoever, and leverage it and parlay it into an empire. A lot of people talk about all different types of credit, but they don't realize building up that family credit can definitely make a difference as well. So we're going to be talking to her on the 29th. So make sure you're tuned in for that show there. The following week, we're going into July, a couple of days after 4th of July. This is on Monday, July 6th. We're on with Antonio J. Edwards out of Florida, flipping houses in a competitive market. I know a lot of people feel like, you know, I'm in California, or I'm in Florida, or I'm in New York, or I'm in one of these places where I just can't get in the game. We're going to bring in a veteran that's been in the game, I think, about 10 years or more. He's going to tell you how to actually do that and be successful in it. So definitely be here to actually be able to pick his brain and see what we can learn. Also, if you want to be notified of these shows that are coming up, all you got to do is text JV to 31996. That's going to get you the free joint venture agreement. The free joint venture agreement, so you can work with other wholesalers, resell, real estate agents, and other investors, and you'll be notified of the upcoming streams as well, just in case you forget. So just text JV to 31996. And also, if you haven't done already, join that Woke Real Estate Investors group. It's a free Facebook group talking about subject to, talking about lease options, talking about seller financing, and so much more. Everything from the rooter to the tutor. Check it out, Woke Real Estate Facebook group, and go to wokerealestate.com if you need coaching, contracts, or anything else in regards to the real estate. So as far as tonight, we're on with Miss Yana Epps. She's in the green room getting ready to come out here, swinging and bucking and bucking and swinging. Talking to her tonight, talking about multifamily investing, dealing with multi-doors and things like that. So we definitely have a good show for you tonight. Let's see what we got up in here. All love, what's up? Deshante, what up? What up? How you doing? All money, you know we doing it. Also, this Facebook user, you're watching in a Facebook group. There's a little link within the description there. If you click that, we'll be able to see your name and your picture. But since you're in a private Facebook group, it's not going to show. So if you click that, that'll let the StreamYard system know who you are, and we can share your name here. Tay, greetings from New Orleans. What up? What up? What up? Good to see you. And D Howard, what's up? Nuggets, please, from Milwaukee. Are you up there in the battleground? I know they got some stuff going on up there, so I don't know. We watching out for you up there. So like I said, anybody else jumped in, go ahead and put your name in and where you came in from, and we'll give you a shout out before we get kicking off here, because it's about that time, y'all. Let's get this thing popping.
And we have Mr. I Stay and Mr. I Stay
Woke. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? This is the student master teacher, Mr. I Stay Woke, Chris Monroe, and I'm right back at you with another real estate video. We are streaming live in multiple places right now, streaming live on the Instagram. You people watching on Instagram, hop on over to the YouTube channel for the full experience if you want to see our faces, see our mugs as we talk this real estate talk. Streaming live on Periscope at Chris Monroe Show. Streaming live on the YouTube channel at Chris Monroe STL. We're streaming live in the Woke Real Estate Investors Group, plus on my regular Facebook page. So like I said, if this video provides you any type of value, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, give it a share, tag somebody who may want to know about this real estate, and that would be great of you. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in my sister from out on the West Coast, Miss Yana Epps. Hey, how are you?
Hey, Chris. You had me cracking up. You're so animated. I love you.
That's right. We got to hit them with some energy.
I love it. Keep it up.
That's what I'm talking about. So that's good. That's good. So for people who may not know, who is Miss Yana Epps, the property princess I see there, hashtag property princess. Who are you and what do you do?
So I am actually an investor here in the Bay Area. I got started in real estate back in the year 2000. I was actually involved in mortgages. I was doing loans, and I kind of grew up in a family which was there was a lot of real estate transactions going on around me. So I had early exposure, which is a good thing because it always kind of piqued my interest, and I knew from a young age, probably even before I started working, that I knew that real estate would be my exit strategy, my retirement plan. So I decided to get my license in 2008. But like I said, I grew up kind of flipping houses and being involved with construction projects. My dad is he's not a contractor, but he's very handy, and I watched him build a house from the ground up. So I've always had a passion for construction, helping him out with things like that. So I just kind of had it in my blood. And then in 2008, I got my license and I did real estate retail sales. But at that time, it was just before the market crash. It was very competitive. If you didn't have bank relationships, it was really hard to build up your clientele and get deals. And all this time, I've been working full time. So it's never been a full-time thing for me. And one day it will be. Hopefully within the next 3 years, it will be. That is the goal. But my passion from earlier on, it was multifamily investing. So I was just trying to think of how to get into it. The first strategy I had was, let me take a equity line of credit out of my dad's house to purchase a duplex. You know, that was probably when I was 18 or 19 years old. I just wanted to save up money and invest in real estate, but I never had the appetite for single family rentals, especially. I think what it boils down to is, if you think of a magic number in your head and how much passive income you need to actually retire on, live on, or just be free, what's the fastest way to get to that number? And maybe for some people, they just want to supplement their income and keep working. For me, I don't want to work at all. So the fastest way for me to get to my magic number was through multifamily. So that was my focus. So
you never felt like you wanted to be in single family at all? You say, I'm going straight for the big stuff. Don't even waste my time with this single family mess.
I mean, I did some wholesaling in single family too, but I never wanted to own rentals, just because when you think of the scalability of multifamily, you know, if I have 20 rentals and they're all geographically dispersed, they got rentals in this state, rentals in that state, I'm dealing with separate property management companies. I'm dealing with 20 different roofs on my 20 rentals, 20 different HVAC systems. It's just a lot more to deal with. And when you look at the scalability of multifamily, typically your expense ratio is going to be less overall, which allows you to produce more income with multifamily.
So you have it's just better logistically, I guess you're saying, to just have everything under one roof. You don't have to deal with all these different places and running around trying to manage property. Okay.
That's my idea. I mean, to each his own. I know a lot of people who've had a lot of success in single family investing, but for me, I just feel like it's a more consolidated approach and it's going to get me there faster. So my personal goal is to try to have at least 500 doors. It was supposed to be this year, but obviously a lot of big things have happened and thrown us off track. And when I really started focusing on multifamily, which was the middle of last year, technically the beginning of this year is when I just decided to kind of chuck wholesaling. I had a big plan for 2020, but I'm kind of happy that some of the stuff that I evaluated earlier on did not get locked up, and I don't have to deal with whatever we're going through right now, because we don't really know how long that's going to last. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise that I didn't get some of the deals that I wanted to get.
Right. That makes sense. So you're saying the Rona messed you up?
I'm not blaming her, but she has, I mean, she did have something to do with it. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just that for me, like I like to travel a lot, and I like to go to different markets and evaluate my markets, and I can't really do any of that freely right now. So it's still possible. It's just going to take a different methodology.
Right, right. So in regards to markets, I know you say you're out in the California Bay Area. Is it, I mean, I guess it's extremely competitive there, right? When it comes to any type of real estate.
Very true. It's very competitive here. And when you look at the price points and the returns in this market, it's really not a cash flow market. It's not built for that. You know, there's a lot of opportunity in California, and this is definitely an appreciation market. So if you have the right strategy and you get in at the right time, you can make a lot of money in real estate just based on appreciation alone. Where in other markets, when you're looking for something a little bit more safer and secure, like cash flow strategies, you don't see as much appreciation. So it's kind of a trade-off, but you have to have the right timing for that strategy in California. And obviously you have to have a lot more capital, you know, for people like myself who are trying to do it alone at first. I never had my sights set on California, not to mention tenant laws. So one of the things that I look at when I'm evaluating the market is tenant landlord laws. How hard is it going to be for me to evict people that aren't performing? And how much money is that going to cost me? How much time is it going to cost me? Where it may take me 30 days in one market, it could take me over 12 months in California. And it's really strict. Right now, there's so much going on right now that I don't even want to get into, but it's almost impossible to be a successful landlord with residential commercial here.
Wow. So they got professional squatters there living off the land, not paying a dime.
Basically, that's what happens, and there's not a lot you can do about it legally in California. So, for those reasons, California is not a target market of mine. I'm looking for apartments in high yield markets where the price points versus the rents just work out to be better returns. So, I guess, you know, for those that aren't very familiar, a good return on investment in terms of the cap rates, you know, ideally what you want is something in the 5 to 10 range. 10 is kind of hard to find, but in this market where I live, we have average cap rates of about 3 to 4%.
Okay, I hear you using a word here. Now this may be a foreign term, cap rate. What is a cap rate?
Cap rate is just a way to assess the return on your investment. How fast are you going to see return on your investment, and how quickly are you getting your money back? It's just something used to gauge that. So, yeah.
So capitalization.
And so every market is going to have like a local cap rate. And if you don't know what it is, you probably want to connect with like a local broker, commercial broker. And you can probably do some research online, I'm sure too. But that kind of gives you a level, like a benchmark for the investments that are. So you know how with single family, when you evaluate a single family investment, you're looking at comparables, you're looking at other recent sales. And you do that in multifamily, but you're doing it with a different lens. You're basically looking at the overall income of a property. It's like buying a small business, right? So it doesn't really matter as much about if it has nice landscaping or, you know, what it looks like. The bottom line is how much money is that asset producing? And that determines the value. So there's a formula that you use where you divide the cap rate and the potential income to find out the value.
So that cap rate is very important then, I guess. It sounds like it could be a deal killer. It can be a maker or a breaker.
I think it's up to you. I mean, honestly, so let's say, for example, if you have a property and they have an asking price on it, right? If you know what the local market cap rate is, you can kind of do the math you have to know the income, first of all, to make sure that these numbers make sense. So when you divide the income and the sales price, it should give you the cap rate. And if that cap rate doesn't match what the local market is dictating, then there's something off. Are you overpaying for that asset? You can tell by looking at the cap rates. So that's how you kind of figure it out, if that makes sense.
Right, right. So from what I understand, when you're dealing with a cap rate, if it's a high cap rate, like 20% or something ridiculous, it's probably in the hood or a lower income area. Is that about right?
Exactly, because it's tied to risk, right? So the higher the risk, the higher the cap rate, but the greater the returns potentially. Just like any investment, if it's safe, you're going to get your money back, and that's not a worry. Then the returns are usually less, right? So in markets like San Francisco, like I mentioned, 3 or 4% cap rates, it indicates high prices and usually safe investments.
So the more safe and the highly desired area, then people will go ahead and, they'll get a lower cap rate, so a lower return, but it's safer and it's cleaner for them.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
And yeah, kind of have to wrap your head around. Mhm.
Oh wow. So what are some of the basics? So if we saw a property, a 25 unit apartment building, or I guess that's the best way to call it, apartment building. How would we go about trying to evaluate what is this thing worth? What should I be paying for it? I know you said the cap rate is part of it, but what else should we be looking at to kind of evaluate, to kind of identify a deal if I came across one?
So definitely the first thing you want to know, depending on your market, you want to know what the local market cap rate is. And then you want to try to get the financial documents that are tied to that property. So the first stage with multifamily, you don't even have to go to the property. If the numbers don't make any sense, that's your first step in due diligence. You basically want to collect all the financial records, which includes their profit and loss statements, their tax returns, their operating expenses, their leases, everything they can provide you on paper, their rent rolls. There's something called a T12. You want all that stuff so you can look at it and validate that the numbers even make sense. And of course, people can try to fudge numbers, so you have to do your due diligence to try to validate that and make sure the records are correct and complete.
Okay.
And why even look at a property in person if the numbers don't make sense for you? You know.
Thank you. I want to sell. They run out to the house. I'm like, we don't even know if it makes sense, or we got to look at some numbers or something, kind of.
Especially if you live out of state and you're trying to do it remotely, it would take a lot of. I'd have to be pretty sure about the numbers before I got on a plane to go look at a property in the market.
So say you are looking at something in another area. I mean, how easy is it to get these documents in this T12? I guess that's the trailing 12, the last 12 months of income. How easy is it to get that from somebody that wants to sell their property?
Well, they should be forthcoming. They should provide that information. It should be made available to potential buyers. And a lot of times with commercial, you'll find that, they want to kind of make sure that you're a serious buyer. They might ask you for a proof of funds and things like that, but more than likely they'll just give you the information that you ask for. I mean, it's the basis, it's the grounds of being able to determine the value. So people need to see that. There's a lot of times where the records are incomplete just because the person who owned the property is not managing the property like a business, so they don't have all the answers. And then in those cases, you kind of have to do some speculation. You have to kind of figure out what local market rents might be. At least they can tell you if it's occupied or vacant, and then you can kind of put your own numbers together and fill in the blanks. What are local taxes and what is insurance going to cost me? So you build your own speculative numbers.
Okay, so it's kind of made up, like a lot of this stuff in real estate. I've been starting to find out we make up everything. So
well, I mean, so when it comes to typically a safe bet and a conservative ratio for estimating cost is you would look to spend at least 50% or about 50% of your income on a multifamily apartment on expenses. What that means is all of your gross income from the rents and laundry, whatever else you have going on that you're charging for, pet rent, all of that times 50% should be about how much they're spending in expenses. So to cover all the, whatever it is that they have as expenses, it should be a 50% ratio. And if it's not, and it's extremely less, like 20%, to me, that's a red flag that there's probably some deferred maintenance or something that they're not addressing, and they're not taking care of things the way that they should. And if it's a newer building, obviously it's not going to have as much maintenance. So a 30% expense ratio is not unheard of. 30 to 40% is about average. But like I said, to be super conservative and make sure these numbers work, you always want to use a 50% ratio.
So 50%, okay, of the income on the expenses. Okay. So what are some ways that you can kind of find these type of deals? Is there some creative marketing or something that could be done to attract these type of sellers, or are you looking on the MLS, or where do you find these types of deals?
So, I mean, a lot of the stuff that maybe I know you have a lot of people on your page that probably do single family wholesale. A lot of the same strategies can be used. There are a lot of different commercial sites, but honestly, by the time a property makes it to a website, that means that it probably doesn't make a lot of sense for many people because that means it's already been through a broker's hands. It's already been through that brokerage because they've shared it if it didn't work for any of their clients. And then they put it on something like CoStar or LoopNet and it's out there, but it's not the best deal. So trying to be direct to seller is always going to be your best bet with multifamily or single family. So the same marketing strategies that you use in single family investing, if you really spend the time and money, you can get lists, you can buy data, you can do marketing campaigns, you can send postcards. One thing that I always say is a really good tactic for especially the sweet spot of like 5 to 20 apartment units. You know, there's a chance that they have a very professional property management company in place, but there's also a chance that if you called for a vacant rental, that owner is going to pick up the phone. So looking on classifieds, ads for rentals, just calling and asking if you can speak to the owner, leave a message, whatever you have to do to get in touch, and just find out if they have any interest in selling. That's one creative way. Otherwise, the typical stuff, postcards, join your landlord associations locally, join groups that are focused on landlords and things like that. You can get leads from your typical resources like attorneys and other people CPAs, that have these owners as clients.
To get to this direct to seller, you want that mom and pop owner usually and try to work with them.
Yeah, because if you have the opportunity to do that, obviously, then you can try to negotiate the best terms on your behalf without any broker fees or any other commissions impacting the proceeds, And also, if there's anything creative that could potentially be negotiated, you kind of have to talk to the owner directly, not through a broker, to kind of negotiate those terms. So trying to get apartments on terms is something you can definitely do, just like you do with single family houses. You and I just had that conversation.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's actually more common in the commercial space to do terms type deals and stuff like that.
Absolutely, because your proceeds are going to be a lot more. As an investor, one of the main things that you think about when it's time to sell and realize your gains is what are you going to do to avoid your taxes or defer your taxes. If you're going to realize everything at once, you're going to have potentially big losses unless you do some type of rollover or 1031 exchange. So the best way to set it up for some of these people is to sell it on terms so they don't have to realize all their gains at once.
See, that's big money talk now. We talking about big bread when they hiding money and dodging taxes and all that stuff. It's getting serious now.
Yeah, that's how the world works, right?
So you exactly. Got to dodge. See, their taxes is a lot. For people watching, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, give it a like, give it a share. If you have any questions about anything we're talking about, be sure to put it in the comments. We'll try to answer before we wrap this thing up today. I know you mentioned something about LoopNet, and I've heard before as well on those types of sites. Once it hits there, it's pretty much a dead deal. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's not going to be your best resource for finding deals. You definitely want to try to build your network. And this is the first. So because apartments cost so much more than single family assets, I want to make a point, right? Most people, clearly these are producing more revenue, but why wouldn't everybody just buy them if they're such a good deal, right? There's a huge barrier to entry. They cost a lot of money. So if you don't have the capital to do it on your own, you have to build a team. You have to build a dream team. You can do that through partnerships. Like if you and I, Chris, we just want to buy an apartment complex together, we have, we can split the equity however we decide if we're partners and we both have an input. Or you can invest passively in apartments. So I could take my money passively and go invest with an operator that I trust and know and put my money into apartments so that way collectively we can pull our resources together and buy larger assets. And that's really what it takes sometimes. If you're not a big VC company or you don't have a ton of capital laying around, the best thing to do is build teams. So your dream team could be, you know, your agents, your insurance. You just want everybody that would potentially have something to do with finding this deal, repositioning a deal, and, you know, making money over time. So I personally am interested in multifamily syndication, which is just another fancy word for, hey, let's get together, let's put our money together, let's pool our resources, and let's buy bigger assets so we can make more money together. And typically, where that starts to make sense, the asset has to be a lot larger in order to cover all the costs associated with the legal documentation and just the type of asset that's going to produce enough income to give out the promised returns or the anticipated returns. So you're usually talking about 50 to 100 units when it comes to syndication or higher. But, you know, even smaller deals, 20 units, you can find partners and you can work together to buy them together if you can't do it on your own.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And so when you're actually, say I find a property on LoopNet or one of these sites and it's like, well, everybody's picked over it already. I mean, is there something I can say to these people to try to work a deal still? Like, is there any magic words or anything we can do to negotiate with these sellers that have already been looked over?
I say always, because just like in single family, the MLS is not a dead lead source. If you find a property that's been on MLS for a number of days, there's probably some level of desperation and more motivation to be flexible in the terms or the price. And same thing with apartments. Even though the deal is on LoopNet, doesn't mean that you can't offer what you want to offer and negotiate from there. Of course, they can say no, but everything is negotiable. So, you know, you can look for apartments, for distressed apartments, the same way you look for distressed houses. You can literally drive for dollars the same way. Some of those strategies still apply.
Makes sense. That makes sense. So you want to definitely get in contact with them, see if you can work a deal and make something happen. So when you do get these properties and you finally buy one or hold it, I mean, do you feel like it's better to do like the Section 8 type stuff, rental? What is one of the favorite exit strategies if you do acquire one of these buildings?
Well, so our strategy is value add and repositioning. So we're looking for an opportunity to fix the property up and somehow increase the operating income. So that could mean we're taking a property that's in a good neighborhood, but it's a kind of worn down building, or maybe it has poor management and the tenants aren't performing like they should. There's opportunity to basically reposition the property. Potentially we can make updates and charge higher rents and get market value. And the wonderful thing about commercial, and I should probably should have opened with this, and the one thing that is so exciting about commercial that you really can't do in single family, we talked about how to value properties, and in single family it's based off of other sales and comps, right? But if I were to buy a property that is over 5 units and considered commercial property, I could literally come in, reposition that property, raise rents immediately, and then add value to my property instantly. So you can force appreciation through value adds. And that's something that you really can't do in residential investing. So
you say appreciation.
You force the appreciation. Yeah, and when you look at it, something as small as a $50 rental increase on their own each tenant's rent. If you, let's say you have 10 units, $500 a month could mean what's that, $6,000 a year, and then you divide it by the cap rate, and whatever that turns out to be in your market, that could be potentially, you know, $60,000 added value just from you spending some money or not even spending any money, just by you adding $50 to everybody's rent. It's all based on the income of the property, and the lenders will recognize that immediately. Well, you kind of have to have some seasoning, but there's ways that you can just increase the value, and you can't really do that. That's my point.
Right. And so if somebody wanted to get into multifamily investing, do they really have to have money?
It depends. I mean, there's ways to not have money and be involved in a deal. Let's say you found a deal and you brought it to me. You could actually be in that deal just because you found the deal. And there's still money that needs to be spent, but maybe you're not the person that brings the money. Maybe you played some other type of role in the deal. Maybe you found the deal, or maybe I found the deal, but you're going to do you're going to oversee the project, or you're going to do the due diligence. I mean, there's different So when you have a team in a syndication, there's your limited partners who usually just bring the money. Then you have they're passive. Then you have your general partners who are doing all the work. So on the general partner side, you can be involved in the deal without bringing a lot of the capital. So you can be involved as long as you have a duty or a role or something that's justified in the deal. You can be in it. You can have equity, and you didn't have to pay the money, but you have to do the work.
So you can do sweat equity or real equity with your dollars.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. I say if you don't have cash, then just try to have creativity. There's has to be a way that you can be involved if that's what you want to do and you want to get started without having a lot of cash.
So that answers the cash part. What about if you don't have good credit? Do you have to have 750 credit score to do this?
I mean, credit is something that is evaluated if you're purchasing on your own. But I mean, if you're involved passively in a syndication, it's not going to matter as much. So you can give your money to somebody without having to qualify on the loan. The lender's not going to ever look at you.
So they only look at one person within that.
Yeah, usually they're looking at the sponsor on the deal. Whoever is responsible for the loan or the team that's responsible for the loan, that's who they're looking at from a credit perspective. And even then, it's still not evaluated the same. In single family, they're looking at the borrower. They're looking at the credit, the income of you. When it comes to multifamily, they're looking at the property. They look at you too, but probably 75% of their evaluation is on the property. How much money is this property going to make? And is this property going to make at least enough to cover the loan that we're giving them and some? That's what they're looking at.
Wow. So it's all about the dollars and the cents. They don't want to play around talking about, So, I mean, and also do they look at your experience level? Like, have you done any of these other deals? Do they look at all that? Or is it more so just like a case-by-case basis?
In commercial, they definitely look at your experience. So if it's not you that has the experience, going back to the dream team, you have to partner with someone that does.
Right. So the dream team, you said that consists of agents, insurance people. Who else will be a person on the dream team?
Let me see. I have a little list here.
Property manager, I guess, or something.
Property managers, definitely. It would be.
I know that teamwork makes the dream work, so you got to get the right people on your team to make the dream.
I thought I had my slide. Yeah, but basically anybody that's involved. So you need. Your contractor, you're going to need your agent, you're going to need your appraisers, you're going to need attorneys, especially when it comes to syndication. There's like a lot of paperwork, there's legal stuff. So getting all these people in place in your market first is the first thing to do. You don't want to wait until you have a smoking deal and you can't move on it because you don't have anybody to work with. So building your team is the first thing to do. Even your lender. Build up a relationship with the lender that you plan on talking to once you have a deal so they can kind of start to understand your goals.
Wow. Okay. So your lender, and all these different things. For people that's joining, we're talking with Ms. Yana Epps, talking about commercial multifamily investing, how you can do it, things to look out for, some of the basics to get it kind of in your mind that, some deals can come across your face. You won't even know what to do with them. Because, when we're out here marketing, willing and dealing, looking for deals, somebody can say, hey, I got this 12 unit, this 20 unit. Can you buy that? Kind of have the basics in your mind. So that's what we're doing here today. If you have any questions about anything we're talking about, be sure to drop it in here. Let me see what we got over here. Dan says he just joined. Welcome, Dan. So, yes. And what's up, Angela? Good to see you as well. So, yes. So when these people want to sell their property, when they normally want to sell a multifamily unit, do they put it on the MLS, or do a lot of people actually just try to market it themselves and try to keep all the money, stuff like that?
No, it's less often that you'll see someone trying to sell a commercial property on their own. They might go to their network first and just see what they can, find, but you pretty much need professional representation. There's a lot to it. It's not a quick transaction per se. And that's one of the things that makes commercial properties a little less liquid because, the buyer pool is obviously a lot smaller. Not everybody can afford to just buy an apartment tomorrow. So once you're invested, it's a little bit harder to liquidate because it takes a little bit longer to sell typically. But you definitely want to enlist a professional to help you gauge your market cap rate and help you put the numbers together if you don't know how to do that already. I mean, it's not impossible to sell it on your own, but typically they're going to reach out to somebody.
Wow.
Probably.
So they want a good person on your team before they try to just sell this thing and throw it out there, because it's a lot of moving parts, it sounds like.
Yeah, but our goal as investors is to be the first person in contact with someone who's even considering a sale before they even make the decision that they want to sell. You want to be in touch with them first and try to negotiate terms that they can't refuse.
So where you can make a good deal with them. And have you ever seen in your experience somebody really sell a building like that, like no money down or something like that? Or is it always like we want 20% down or some old crazy number, 50% down?
Well, if you're going to get a loan from a lender, you're going to have at least 20% down. But I have seen people buy multifamily apartments on terms, just like, seller financing the same way you would a house. It definitely works.
Right.
And you might be able to negotiate terms with no money down, but I think maybe you have to be a little bit more compelling than that. So
you got to be a smooth criminal out here to get a no money down apartment building. I'm gonna try though. I'm gonna try.
You gotta be Chris Monroe to get a deal like that.
You don't think I won't try? We usually buy with nothing down, okay? We usually buy with nothing down. They're gonna be like, okay, yeah, right.
Yeah, it's definitely a different conversation when you're trying to negotiate, multi-million-dollar property versus, something that's 50,000 or something. That's one reason why single family is a little bit harder in California too. I mean, everything is so expensive here. So wholesaling was one of my first business ventures. And, it's hard to see the volume here just because I'm wholesaling. I'm contacting people who may be behind on taxes, but their property is worth $1 million, and it's not a one-call close. Trust me.
I know that's right. So here we go. We're going to see if you can get a little vulnerable, Yana. What mistakes have you made that you've learned from while you've been dealing with this multifamily stuff?
I haven't made any mistakes. Anything that did not go my way or turn out to be what I expected was a lesson learned. I wouldn't call it a mistake. Otherwise, I wouldn't know better today. So one of the first things that I realized is it's very important, no matter what type of investor you want to be, to know your market and know your strategy. So every strategy does not work in every market. And that's a lesson learned that I learned the hard way, the very expensive way.
Expensive. Uh-oh. You didn't give them too much money, did you?
I mean, I've invested a lot in my business and in myself, and I don't think it was wasted. Like I said, it was just tuition. That's the way I look at it, because I wouldn't know the things that I know today if I hadn't experienced those things. So
I know that's right. The big make is in yourself. That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
I think we got
and also, by the way, I consider myself to be, even though I have years of experience in real estate in different facets, I really consider myself to be a novice in relation to where I see myself 3 years from now. So I have not been able to successfully acquire my first apartment deal. And, like I said, in 3 years, I hope to have X number of doors. So I feel like I'm just getting started.
That's
and
right.
I'm learning and sharing my learning with as many people as I can.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. The sky isn't even the limit. So let's see here. We're going to take a couple of questions here. Like I said, if you all have any questions, put them in the comments. We'll go ahead and try to get them answered before we wrap this thing up here shortly. Kelly Tobler says on Facebook, do multifamily deals take longer to accept an offer because it's likely a group of partners that currently own it, as they take a while to review with all the partners?
You mean from the seller side? It could. I don't, depending on, I think if you decide that you want to list a property, you probably know what your bottom line is and what you need to get and what's a fair price. So I think a lot of those decisions are probably made in advance of a property being listed. But, like I said earlier, everything is negotiable. And of course, I guess everything that involves multiple decision makers will take naturally longer than somebody that's making a decision on their own.
Yeah, because I actually came across a pre-foreclosure apartment complex, and I was like, oh man, what do I do? It came up in the system. I was like, I don't know. And there was somebody out of town but the apartment building was here in St. Louis, and it was an LLC on. I tried to call them, but I could never reach anybody there. But I don't know.
But as you know, even an LLC, that is just a veil for somebody like me. I have an LLC, but it's my LLC, and I'm one person by myself. So.
Right. So that makes sense. So hopefully that helped you out there, Kelly. Let's see what we got here. Somebody on Facebook in the Woke Real Estate Investors Group says, do you only buy in California?
California can keep it. I don't even want to buy in California.
So it's too expensive.
I mean, there would have to be a very deep discount, a very motivated seller that I could almost buy at half of retail costs to make a deal make sense for me here. I
guess you kind of answered this earlier too. How do you make money buying real estate in California anyway?
Well, I think it's timing. In our market, it's all about appreciation. There's some instances where you might be able to get a little bit better returns, but it's very hard to find deals that actually cash flow here. I had this conversation yesterday with a potential buyer because I also kind of work as an agent. If you are looking to get started in multifamily and you want to own rentals and you do live in California, the first thing that you should do is probably buy a small residential multifamily, 4 units or less, and do what we call house hacking, because house hacking actually allows you to get residential lending terms. So you're still dealing with your regular mortgage broker, and you can still put as little as 3.5 to maybe 10% down. And you have better terms, it's more affordable, and now you own 3 other units. The caveat is you have to live in one of the units and it has to be owner occupied, but the FHA programs that are out there from county to county will have different limits on the purchase price. So what they do, for example, is they take your personal income. They also take 75% of the income that the other 3 units produce on a fourplex, and they combine that to tell you what you qualify for in terms of the sales price. So now all of a sudden you have way more buying power because of the income that the other units produce. So that's an easy way to get started in multifamily investing.
Wow. So you definitely got to hook it up right. That makes sense.
But the sweet spot is you have to be under 4 units, because anything over 4 units, now you have to get a commercial loan and you have to have the 20% down. So that's that.
And that's like the bare minimum, 20% down or the bank won't touch you.
Pretty much. Yep.
Okay. Cool. So here we go. We got a couple of other questions here. Sean Gavin over on YouTube says, what are typical apartment syndication returns for an investor?
I think that question is relative. It really depends on your own appetite. Everybody has different expectations for their money. Maybe I have most of my money sitting in my stocks, and maybe it's producing on average 10%. If I had a real estate opportunity that's only going to promise me 7 or 8% returns, that might not make as much sense to me. I might be looking for double-digit returns minimally to move my money to that investment. But I think what's considered at least a good return is, like I said earlier, probably like an 8% return is like the industry standard, if that even exists, kind of minimally 8%, but aggressively people are looking for probably double-digit returns. And there's different ways to measure returns. So there's your total return on investment, which kind of encompasses your depreciation, appreciation, all your tax benefits. And then there's your cash on cash. How fast am I getting my actual out-of-pocket money back? Then I have my long-term return, my IRR. There's so many different formulas that you can look at to tell which one, this is how you measure the return and what makes sense for you. But in general, I would say, 8% is like the minimum that people are looking for if you're talking about return on investment.
So if you're not even getting at least 8%, it's probably not a good deal.
Yeah, and that's just upfront, returns. Like I said, the good thing about real estate is there's so many other ways to see your returns. You're getting the pay down of the mortgage, so you're earning equity. You're getting all these tax benefits, so you're getting you're saving money at the same time, and then you're getting depreciation on commercial properties. So there's so many things, so many ways to make money that you can't just look at one factor.
I know that's right. So it be getting confusing, but just know you save a lot of money. Put your money in real estate. Makes sense.
You have to have a tax shelter.
Exactly. For the appreciation of the property, the depreciation of the property, you get the tax benefits, and you can get that tax liability reduced to almost zero, if not zero. Let's see here. What books, podcasts, and other resources do you recommend for somebody to learn more about this topic or anything in regards to entrepreneurship?
I think it really depends on where you are in your stage of like your knowledge. You know, if you're a very, very beginner investor, I always recommend the Dummy series. You know, the yellow books, they make them for all different topics. There's one that I love, and it's by Peter Conti and Peter Harris. It's called Commercial Real Estate Investing for Dummies. And the reason I recommend starting with that book is because it breaks down a lot of the terminology. It really just starts with at a very granular level, breaking down the basics and the fundamentals of commercial investing. That way, the next book that you buy, some of the terms will make more sense.
So it's like starting out in kindergarten and moving up the first grade and moving on up the ladder.
And then, you know, as if you're somebody that's transitioning from, maybe you own single family rentals and you want to move into apartments, I like Dave Lindahl. So he has a book called Multifamily Millions, which is really good and informative. He also has a boot camp, I believe. And he also has another book called Real Estate Emerging Markets. So the biggest difference between single family and multifamily is that you just have to have a different level of education. It doesn't necessarily require experience, but you have to educate yourself first, because anything that you do, as you called them earlier, any mistakes are amplified in multifamily if you don't know what you're doing. This is a business that you're running. You need to have a business plan, and you need to be efficient at operations. It doesn't work the same way as single family.
Wow. So you definitely got to know what you're doing. You can't just be out here, I'm just going to try it out and throw a bunch of money at it and hope something sticks.
Yeah, if you haven't even spent at least 3 to 6 months on reading and educating yourself, then I say you're probably not ready.
Wow. So you got
to
take your time. Let's see here. Dan asks, what do you think about the Bigger Pockets podcast? You know anything about that?
Love it. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Bigger Pockets. Not me, not as a speaker, but I listen to it all the time. In fact, I listen to podcasts instead of music. You know, that's how much I love real estate. There was a time where I wouldn't even turn on music or TV. I'm a little bit better now, but when I became obsessed with learning about multifamily, it was just 100% consumption every day. Like, all I could do is just get more and more information, books, podcasts, networking, mentors. Get a mentor.
That's what I'm talking about. So you telling me turn off the noise on the radio, turn off the noise on the news and the TV, and get some podcasts, some information, some education, and fill that brain up with something that can change your life. Is that what you're saying?
You make the decision. If that's what you really want, you'll decide how hard you want to go at it. You know, like for me, I have an Instagram account, but I don't follow anybody who's not in real estate, because I don't even want to take the chance that I pop open my Instagram and I'm distracted for a split second by something that is not related to real estate. I don't care about what Cardi B is doing. I don't care about Beyonce. I mean, I love her, but I don't have time to watch her life. I'm trying to watch my life change.
You're talking that talk now. Wait a minute. Say, I'm going to go and get my mind right so I can get my grind right.
Exactly.
There's a lot of junk out here. I hate even going on Facebook sometimes, because like I post up stuff different times. I'm like, man, I get distracted. I'm 10 minutes deep into somebody's junk that I never should have saw.
You know that happens, right? That's what I'm saying. You get stuck on something. You just realize you spent the last 10 minutes looking at something that does not make a difference in your world. Like, Facebook is a powerful tool when it comes to business, and it can be used for so many good reasons. But at the same time, it is a suction cup. It will get you. Like, I try my best not to get caught up in all that stuff. But social media is definitely very powerful in a good way too.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think, a lot of people use social media for the wrong stuff. Watching twerking, which ain't nothing wrong with twerking, but doing a lot of this other stuff out here. And they need to be using it. This is the best tool that has ever been invented. This dang on phone, these smartphones and technology and there's no excuse anymore, right? I mean, the information is here. We're in the information age. We can learn almost anything, right?
Every answer is at your fingertips. I am literally self-taught on YouTube. I haven't paid, well, I paid some money for some commercial stuff, but I found them from social media probably, and everything's out there. If you want it, you can find it.
That's right. That's right. You got to get around the right type of people, even if it's on social media and in real life. Definitely get around the right type of people. Hang around 4 bums, you'll be the fifth.
That's another good point. That's another good point. So this is a general rule. You should be around people who are doing what you want to do in your future, not just people that you've been connected with in your past. Because sometimes if you're not on the same page and you don't have the same goals, those people can weigh you down for sure. So change your circle if they're not moving in the same direction.
Most definitely. Change those people. Hanging around the losers, you'll become one too. All right, let's see here.
Very small circle.
Exactly. Let's see here. Somebody on Facebook says, is anything over 4 units labeled as commercial everywhere or just in California?
Is anything over 4 units labeled as commercial? Anything over 4 units anywhere is commercial.
Exactly.
So there's multifamily. Multifamily just means more than one dwelling unit. So if it's a duplex, it's still multifamily technically, but it's not commercial until it's over 4 units, if that makes sense.
Right. That makes sense. Cool. So like I say, anybody watching this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, give it a share. How do people connect with you, Yana? How do they go? I know they say they got to be in real estate to get with you on Instagram. We already heard that. So don't even go on that page unless you
it's not that, I mean, I'm open to connect with anybody that's in real estate. And definitely I'm the Real Property Princess on Instagram, Yana Epps on Facebook. I have a Facebook group called Real Estate and Investment Strategies. This is my company, Ask Me Investments. I do multifamily syndication. Typically, like I said, we're looking for the first deal, but I'm working really hard right now to build up my investor pool so that, like I said earlier, that when the right deal's on my desk, we can strike right away. And having that alignment ahead of time is something that I work towards every single day.
Wow, that's what I'm talking about. And let's see here. Ed White over here on Periscope, streaming live at Chris Monroe Show on Periscope says, is she on LinkedIn?
I am on LinkedIn. And I think you put somehow the real spelling of my name got up on the screen. So my name is Miyana, Miyana, but I go by Yana because people have a hard time pronouncing Miyana. But I'm Yana Epps on LinkedIn.
Miyana. Oh, so I said it wrong. You want to go correct me? There it is.
Well, you don't know how many times I've had that conversation in my life. I don't even have the energy for correcting people anymore. That's why I changed it to Yana. I just let it be.
Everybody say Mayana, or what do they usually say?
Usually, yep.
So Miyana. All right, so say it right when y'all hit her up. Hey, Miyana, I'm on the Chris Monroe Show. What's up with you? I want to link in on LinkedIn. Cool. Yeah. All right. Any other closing words of encouragement, motivation, of anything you want to say to the people before we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, I would say to anybody that's looking to get started, first thing to do is if you want to be an investor, invest in yourself first. There's nothing better than teaching yourself the right things in the right way so that when you get started, you have a different level of confidence and you don't have to make any costly mistakes or pay tuition the way that I did. I did mention earlier about getting a mentor. That is one of the best things that you can do is pair up with somebody who knows the business that you want to be in and just get the answers from them. If they're willing to let you shadow them or somehow spend time with them, try to find somebody that will kind of open their doors for you and learn. Do a lot of learning first. My page on Facebook is all about trying to bring educational content to people who would like to be real estate investors, or maybe they want to retire early and use some other kind of investment strategy. But I just really try to share everything that I know, but I also bring in people who are way smarter than me to share what they know. So everything's there. If you guys want to join in, just start learning.
I know that's right.
and don't let roadblocks get in your way. You know, don't stop. Climb over the wall and keep going.
Keep it pushing. I know that's right. Cool. So I see you say hashtag property princess. I'm gonna ask a dumb question. Where'd you come up with that name?
Well, so I think it kind of stems from one of my favorite color is pink, right? So I kind of act like a princess in some ways, really like girly. And property is what I'm passionate about. So I kind of put the two together. And that's another thing. Clearly, I'm not where I want to be when it comes to investing. It's not something that I've necessarily earned, but branding is such a big part of your business. I felt like it was catchy. It was something that would stick. And I just came up with it because I wanted it to be my logo and my hashtag, because like I said, brand is everything.
That's true. Brand is everything. You see, I got the hashtag I stay woke. You know, you can buy a hashtag, right? You can buy, I don't know if you bought that one yet.
I did not buy anything. Nope.
You can go onto a site called twubs.com. I'm going to give the hack. That's my hack for everybody that's listening in. TWUBS. You can go buy that hashtag or whatever hashtag you want. That's my gift to the family for today. All right. Any other things you want to say to the people? Miana, don't say it wrong.
See, it rhymes with Rihanna. That's hard to forget. This was fun. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on as well. So there we go. So that's how we do it, family, right here each and every Monday night, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. We try to come on and bring somebody on to help you get your mind right to get this thing going. If you're talking about entrepreneurship and or real estate investing, which is what I love, change your life real quick. Don't forget this video is being brought to you by WokeSkipTracing.com. Get skip tracing results quickly and accurately as low as 15 cents per match, not per search, per match. WokeSkipTracing.com is the website. So I want to say thank you for everybody that tuned in. If you're watching on the replay, drop in the comments some smart comments. Let me know you came in. Say, oh yeah, I didn't see it live, but man, it was kind of live. I like that part, or I don't like that part, or this was funny, or whatever. I don't care. Put something in there. Just let me know you came in. And we are also on the what are we on? Podcast as well. We're on the Apple iTunes podcast and Google podcast as well. So if you're listening in on that, give it a 5-star rating, give this video a thumbs up, give it a like, give it a share. And if you're watching on YouTube, bang that bell to be notified of when we go live. Like I said, we got a couple of nice shows coming up the next couple of weeks. Next week, we're on with, let's see, here we go. The 22nd, we're on with Miss Andrea States, talking about virtual. That's the 22nd of June. Be in for that. The following week, we're on with Miss Andy. Just Ask Andy, talking about that family credit, building that credit up, things like that. That's on June the 29th, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern. And July the 6th, we're on with Mr. Antonio J. Edwards, my bro down in Florida, talking about flipping houses in a competitive market. So make sure you're tuned in for that. And if you want to be notified of these streams and others, all you got to do is text JV to 31996. Open up your phone like you're going to send a message. The number you're sending it to is 31996. The message you're sending is JV. Real simple. You'll get a notification right back. You'll get that joint venture agreement, and you'll be notified of the live streams that come up after today as well. If you want to connect with me, I know people say, oh, I can't reach you, Chris. I try to DM you. You ignore me. You ain't listening. You ain't see me. All you got to do is email me. I'm not that hard to find. Chris@wokerealestate.com. Shoot me an email. Chris@wokerealestate.com. If you want to invest, partner on a deal, you got a deal, you're trying to figure out a deal, I'm here to help out in any way I can to help out the community. Let's see. One other thing, if you haven't already, be sure to join the Woke Real Estate Investors Group on Facebook. Talking about subject to lease option, seller finance, virtual wholesaling, deal structuring, negotiation tactics. Right there, get around like-minded people like we just talked about in this stream at the Woke Real Estate Investing Group on Facebook. And the website is wokerealestate.com if you're looking for contracts, cool gear like these hats. People say, oh, where you get that hat at, man? Wokerealestate.com. Go to the shop page. Support your brother because he got others. All right? So that's how we're going to do it, family. Hope you all have yourself a great day. Thanks for those hearts and everything I see y'all doing there, smiles or frowns or whatever y'all putting in there. Thank you for all of that. Do what you do. Be who you be. And I'll see you before you see me.
And we here. And we here. And we here. Mr. I stay. Whoa, 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 whoa. And Mr. I stay.
Today's broadcast is being brought to you by WokeSkipTracing.com. Look up phone numbers and email addresses with ease, with pricing as low as only 15 cents per match. Not per search, per match. If there's no number or email address, you don't pay. Get accurate data in just minutes. WokeSkipTracing.com. That's WokeSkipTracing.com.